Hey everyone, and welcome back to my 2021 Project Life album. This album has been much neglected this year, and I am just getting into February here with this layout. So, themed layout, lots of Valentine's Day kind of oriented stories. I'm working with Elles Studio Kit products. And so one of the things that I wanted to tell you about how I keep my Elles Studio kits when they come in every month is I go ahead and take everything out of the package and arrange everything by rainbow order for the journal cards, and then the products I sort of tend to keep by product. So all the puffy stickers go together, all the stamps go together, all the alphabets go together. And then when I come to do a layout like this, I look at what are the colors in the photos, what are the themes for that week, sort of what jumps out at me. And of course, this is February, so it's pretty easy to pull Valentine's colors for this layout. I started with pink and red, and that This Is Love 4x6 card. And then I'm just going to build the rest of my layout from there. And so I have all my cards arranged by rainbow order, but I also have this stack that you see here that are all the multicolored cards. And I go to this stack of cards frequently so that I can pull other colors into the layout besides just one or two, right? And so I kind of just pulled out some options from that stack. And I'm not really committed to anything just yet, but I have some choices here. And really what that helps me do, I feel like, is it helps me create a more colorful but also consistent layout. And so I just have to say that making the decision to arrange my Project Life cards by color has been one of the best things I ever did in terms of creating more cohesive layouts. And I think here you can kind of see where I've made my decisions and finalized a little bit. I brought in some of the mint green and yellow, and I really liked that floral Love This card. And so that kind of became the jumping off point for other colors in the layout. And of course it can still change while I'm creating, and so I'm keeping those options close by, and then I'm also gonna just punch a few of those as well and use them as self-made embellishments. And that's one thing I like about the Elles Studio kits. They don't always do die cuts. There was a Valentine's die cut pack, and I have that die cut pack, but I decided not to bring them into this layout and just wanted to focus on creating some for myself. So starting with this really cute This Is Love 4x6 card here. And this card is going to serve as a title card, but also a space for some journaling, because I felt like I didn't have a lot of journaling space in the 3x4 cards that I chose. And this is a monthly layout, so I had 4x6 photos for all of the pockets, and I had three 3x4 photos as well. And so that also impacted how much journaling space I felt like I had. So I'm going to take advantage of journaling space that I have, and I'm also going to try and create journaling homes as I go through the creative process. So first, after all that, for the first thing that I did with this card was add a few embellishments. And so I started with the word strips and the little heart circle punch that I just layered at the bottom. And then I'm going to date it here. And you guys can laugh with me here because I totally dated it for February of 2020. And I don't even know what I was thinking. And I didn't even notice it. This is the really dumb part. But I didn't even notice it until I was photographing the layout and it was all complete. And so just bear with me on that date there. But I'm not going to change it because I felt married to this card. And I'm glad I stuck with this card because I really like how it ended up turning out. And so it's sort of going to be like a collage, right? Because there's word art here, there's a punch circle. I'm adding the February using white puffy stickers here, the date, and then some written words. And so it just has that collage sort of feel. And I really liked how this ended up turning out, and I think that I want to do more of this. Typically when I do my month cards or the title cards for Project Life, I usually keep it to this is the month or this is the week, and so this felt a bit more freeform and frankly a bit more creative. So there were lines in one of these stamp sets, and I'll have the products outlined for you in the blog post that goes with this process video. You'll find that link down below, so make sure you hop over there and you'll be able to see the products that I used. But this line stamp set, every time I stamp lines, I talk about how much I love lined stamps and how much they're a staple for me in pretty much any layout that I do. And so this one had the dotted lines and then the hearts to one side. And so I'm using that here to my advantage, and I'm sort of piecing it together to make the lines fit within the boundaries that I had set from the embellishments on the card. And so that worked out really cute, and gives me the space for the title, space for embellishments, and now a bit of space for my words. And so I'll tell you some of the stories from that month. One, our sink faucet broke and we had to get a new one. And so there's a photo of Alan in the kitchen down at the bottom of the page that is from when he was putting the new faucet in. And so that was a fun little adventure in flooding and cleaning out the cabinets, as one does. And then we also, of course, had Valentine's Day that month. And so I documented, there were some donuts from Krispy Kreme that we went to get. And so I'm not really a big fan of donuts. And we don't go get donuts very often, but I saw these on their Facebook ad or something that they were doing Valentine's themed donuts. And so off we went to the Krispy Kreme. And the story went, it was funny because we walked in the door, and Alan is usually pretty easygoing and he likes everything. But we walked into the Krispy Kreme donuts, and he whispers in my ear, somewhat bossily, in kind of a bossy way for him, because he's normally not that way. But he said, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to get 1 dozen plain, and then we're going to get 12 mixed as well. And it shocked me a little bit, but in all the best ways, because it was something that he really wanted, and I did not know that. about him. So that was a funny story that I wanted to tell. The photo I'm working with here is where Nick had to go to the high school to do an exam. We were still doing online learning, but they brought in all the kids for their exams while we were doing online learning. And then there's a photo too of a meme from Bernie Sanders. And so remember how when they did the inauguration and he showed up by himself, you know, with his big old Vermont winter coat, and he was a whole mood, and there were so many memes that went around about that. And so I decided to include that one. That was the one about waiting for my Uber to show up, and I wanted to get that in my album too. The idea of putting memes in my Project Life layouts, you guys, I'm so far behind on the curve with that, but why didn't I think of that earlier? I don't know. I am a little slow on catching on to that, but that's fun, and it's something that I hope to do more of in the future, is just include more memes. So now you'll have the backstory of how that started. I'm just looking at some of the other photos. We also had a bit of snow mixed with sleet, and that's the photo in the lower right hand corner. Just a couple of notes about some of my embellishing here that I'm doing. You'll notice that I'm repeating the circles in several areas around the layout, and that's a pretty Ali Edwards thing to do, I think. But it was fun here to use journaling cards, to punch the journaling cards and create the little spaces there. Remember how I said that I was looking for extra spaces to do my journaling on this layout, and so that it just became a matter of placing the circle in different areas on the photo. One, just depending on how the photo was composed. So you'll see how I do that, and of course there's more photos on the blog where you can see how I made those design decisions about where the circle should go on the photo so that it becomes a part of the photo and doesn't compete with the photo itself, or it doesn't compete with the main element of the photo. And I think that can be challenging sometimes when you're embellishing photos. So I hope that will be helpful to you, just to get a closer look at that on the blog post. And so I used that heart line stamp set on the left hand side, and then I'm repeating it again here with these little this little 3x4 photo of the little Target rubber duckies that we found. They were Disney themed, and they were just in the Target dollar spot. And so I stamped those lines and used the dotted line part for my journaling, and then added the little awesome stamp over top of the hearts. So it almost looks like I used two different stamps. I don't know if that works or not. Tell me if you like that. But it was a fun way to do more stamping, right? And use those stamps more in my layouts. And that is definitely something that I love doing. You can see how I'm using those puffy stickers as well. I mean, you gotta have hearts and stars, right? Aren't they a staple? And so at this point, if I create a layout and it doesn't have a puffy sticker on it, what is even happening to me? Come and check, because I might have been kidnapped or something. I'm just kidding. So another circle there at the top of the snowy layout. That was literally all we got. Like there was no accumulation or anything. The joy of living in North Carolina in February and March is usually it's enough just enough to make the roads treacherous. We actually, I kept that photo or included that photo in my layout because the weird thing was that we were out in it. And usually when it snows and sleets like that in North Carolina, you stay home. You go home and you stay home because you can't treat the roads. But we were like, oh, this was unexpected. And so then we found ourselves having to go to the grocery store because, we had to get our milk sandwiches or something. I don't know. We needed something that day. Probably medicine or something. Who knows? We probably needed to go to the pharmacy. At any rate, so it was weird, kind of weird being out in it. And then I did a last minute photo change here. One, because I felt like the left-hand side of the photo was really more about Valentine's Day. And this was my Valentine's Day gift from my husband. And so just a kind of tragic story. I had a different purple bracelet and it fell off my arm and I have no idea where it fell off. And so my husband bought me a new purple bracelet and gave it to me for Valentine's Day, which was really super special. And I kind of like this one better, but I still miss my old one. But anyway, so I was just documenting that. And in hindsight, that photo is upside down. But it'll be all right. We're going to keep on going, accept those little imperfections. Thank you so much for joining me here and for watching my process videos. I appreciate you being here so much. I hope that if you're just watching for the first time or you're new here, that you'll hit the subscribe button and join me for all of the fun things that are coming down the pipeline. And I'll see you back here again soon. Bye-bye.